Hello everybody, this is Paco 3D.art, and today we're going to be talking about normals. There's a good reason why I have changed the background to be to the color of purple, and that's because usually that's the default color of a normal map. But there is also there is two types of normals, right? There is the normals that can be applied as a texture, and then there is the normals that can be applied with a geometry directly, right? So because the geometry is there, it can also still be changed in the direction the lighting behaves with it. So I'm gonna start already showing you what I mean by normals. So if I put in here, let's put in here a little bit of lighting. So I'm just gonna do a point lighting, activate the lighting, right? So you can see with these, you've got a little bit of lighting changing, right? And you can see it's happening as well with the cube there. It's happening with the cylinders. There is three types of cubes, right? In these cones here. But these planes are 100% flat. So if we go in here and look at this on the flat, right? These are perfectly flat. All of these, even though there is a little bit of something going on, right? So what's going on here, and what's the normal, right? So if I go here in these cubes, for example, right, I'm gonna select this three. I'm just gonna isolate this just to make this, and perhaps I don't need to be this big anymore. I can make myself a little bit smaller. So let's say that we want to see what is a normal and how do normals behave. So if I select these three boxes here and I go inside of display, polygons, and I click on face normals, and I make these a little bit bigger because they're going to be very, very hard to be seen at that size. So I go normal size as well with the polygons. And just as a heads up, yeah, this is going to be a very theory-based class more than practical, right? But it's important that you know what this is. So I'm going to change the normal size to 5. You'll see how these here, the normals have been inverted. They're looking inside out. However, for this one here, they have been looking out, but the edges are hardened. Whereas this one here, they're also looking outwards, but the actual normals have been softened around the edges. So if I go here, for example, and I say, okay, I want to make sure that all of these edges around here are softened or hardened, I can select the edge and then change that around. But before I even do that, I also want to show the actual normals over the vertices. And so I'm just going to go up here, display, polygons, and I'm going to show the vertex normals. All right. And just to make things a little bit less confusing, I will turn off the face normals. So you got face normals here, and you also got vertex normals, yeah? So let's take out the face normals and let's have a look at these, right? So these here are pointing inwards. All of this, so they're going to be a bit hard to see, but as you can see here, you have these fellas looking like they are matching to the same as the actual face, and it's going to be very, very hard to understand unless I decide to see this cube with the faces being split. So instead of having vertex or edge or face mode, I'm just going to have selected vertex face. I rarely ever use this. It's only good to see if you've got some strange topology problems and you want to investigate the model further. But what it does, it will show you the model with all of their faces being split. Here, as you can see, you have each of these being pointed at the same direction as the face. Same as this one, same as this one. And if I decided, all right, I want to select these and I want to soften them, I then go select the edges, shift right click, and I go to the 4 o'clock option. So the 4 o'clock option is here, and then you also have Harden Edge. This is to make a procedure to select, okay, at what angle percentage I want to make sure that I change everything, and then I go here, soften edge. Okay, so if I go back to that mode again, where everything is being split and easy to see, you can see how these guys here are aligned to their face, but here they have been averaged out, so it's like it's almost like it's getting to that exact angle between this one and this one and this one, and it's pointing to that direction. And essentially what it's doing computationally, it's saying, okay, those edges over there, soften them. But then these edges over there, and I'm gonna remove the lighting there. But then these edges over here, harden them, right? So whenever you get a weird, strange procedure, so I'm just gonna combine this. I'm just gonna connect this for a second, connect components, and I'm gonna do a bevel kind of a thing. Whenever you have a problem like this, like things are not being properly smoothed out, like say you got this soften and then everything else is just breaking, for example, you can always just go in here, select all the edges, just go select all, and then you can harden, right? Or you can select and pick and choose. All right, so you must be wondering, for this cube here, so if I go select all and I make this to be hardened, how did I make sure that I match this cube to this one here? So if I duplicate this, right, and I invert all the normals, so if I go mesh display in here, and you'll find all the same options in here, but I go reverse, you'll see how they all show black, right? And what's happening here, and so whenever you see a black face like this, that's exactly what it means. It means that there has been a face that accidentally has been pretty much blacking out. By the way, I just press G there so you can see what happens. And so the lighting is behaving the reverse way. And you might be thinking, okay, that's cool, but why is that happening? The reason is Maya is trying to give you a warning to say, hey, this is inverted, just be careful, this is not rendering the right way, it's rendering the wrong way. If for whatever reason that happens and you're like, you know what, I actually want both sides to look nice, I don't care about the lighting, you can always go up here, lighting, and just go two-sided lighting. I don't recommend that unless you have some problems that you want to resolve really quickly and you don't care about fixing it, so then you can do that and then it will fix it. So that's a very nice way of doing that. But also, if you want to, say, do a room and you want to invert the normals, but then you don't want to see the outside faces, you can also select this, go display, polygons, and then you got here, backface culling. So usually the way that this happens with the backface culling is whenever you are playing a video game or whenever you're doing anything with a video game engine, usually it only renders the outside faces. It doesn't render the inside faces unless there has been a very specific shader being applied to it. So a specific shader that would render both sides could be something like the leaves of a plant or the leaves of a tree, or for example a character's cape or a character's hair. Very few things that you can say, okay, Mr. Render, can you please, or Mr. Unreal, Unity, whatever, can you please render both sides of this? And this is what it looks like, right? So, but most of the games will look like this. It will look like it's been inverted, and so you can only then look the back sides of those faces, right? So can we find some quick ways to shade this? Of course. So say that you've got something like a cylinder. If I wanted to make all of those soften, there's two different ways of doing this. So one, I could just, of course, select everything and just make everything soften. But then you have the problem that perhaps these up here, you want this to be hardened, right? So one way to do this, say that everything is softened for whatever reason. What you can do is just double click here, double click there, and then you can just go harden. So that's one way that you can do this. very easily. Another way that's like, say that you've got the inverse for a reason. So if you go edge and all of them are being hardened, and you're like, okay, I just want to soften the inside of this cylinder, you can just go in here, click, double click, shift right click, soften edge. So that's another very easy way to give that effect if you need. But let's say that this is a very complicated model. All right, so let's say, let's make a new cylinder. All right, so I'm just gonna make this extra complicated on purpose. So I'm just gonna say, let's press T, make this 32 sides for whatever reason. I'm gonna select this top here. I'm gonna go to faces. I'm gonna make an extrude. Wow, I'm really making this complicated, aren't I? Bit of an offset, sure. All right, let's say that we got something very complicated and we don't want to do this the hard way, right? And let's add some divisions, sure. Let's connect this as well, and let's add a bevel and add some segments. All right, so let's say that we got something very complicated, and for whatever reason the normals have been effed up. Sorry about the swearing. And then we soften everything up. Okay, and let's say we got something like this. We're like, oh, bleh, bleh. And you want to do this in a single click. This is where you have this option here, which is very fancy. So you can go soften, harden, edge, and then you've got a checkbox. So this here, you can say, okay, if anything is, I'm gonna zoom in right here. So if anything is more than this angle percentage, then apply a hard edge or not, right? So I could try to see if just by clicking 30 and I've got apply, it will automatically set the normals to that, right? I wonder when it's going to start breaking, right? So if I say I put a number to 1, everything is going to make everything very faceted. But as you can tell, this one and this one has been softened, right? The only ones that have been hardened is anything in between. Just if I change that to the angle of 1. So if I go again, say something like 60, apply, you can see everything has been softened now. So if I go 45, apply, okay, so these have been softened, but these have been hardened. Why? Because this angle is a lot lesser than this one here. So maybe 30 is a good percentage or good angles. If I go select that, apply, now that has been hardened, but everything else has been softened. So this is a very nice way that you can soften or harden edges. It's not perfect, it's not ideal. Say that you want to do something like a Pokeball, right? So if we got like a sphere, like that, all right. And you got, cool, we got some really nice shading, but now I want Nintendo to sue me because this is Payworld, all right, or whatever the name of that game is called. I go, oh, Nintendo, please sue me. So I'll go select that edge, I go shift right click, and I go Harden Edge, all right, and there you go. So now I've got a very distinctive hard edge there, right? But then you see it's hard. I did not have to do anything, right? Like it's just there. Of course, if I did model this correctly, I will do something like that, alright? Like maybe that's a bit, and then I go okay, and then this I would harden that edge, and then maybe that would look a little bit better, right? Like, but. So yeah, you can do the same with this. If I go apply, that's not gonna work. So let's try a smaller angle, 15. Okay, sorry, other way. Let's do 60. Okay, there you go. So that works with 60. Okay. Now you must be thinking, how the heck did I do these? Because these are perfectly flat. And this is where I wanted to introduce the concept of what is a normal map. So a normal map, pretend that each of these faces behaves like a pixel. So you got lots and lots of pixels, right? And what is happening is, if I select this, you can see each of these vertices are slightly angled. So here you see that it's starting to behave like pixels, completely flat. And then here, as the sphere, because this was a flat sphere, as it reaches around the corners, it starts to bend away from being flat, right? And the same happens with this one here. If you select this one here, then you've got this thing where it's going zigzag. It's like the normals are being changed. Zoom, zoom, zoom. And so this is very similar. The way that I've generated this is very, very similar to what it is doing a normal map baking. And I would love to show that as a workflow in a few videos in the future, right? But if you're wondering how the hell did I do that, I'm just going to make a new scene for the time being. So let's say that we got a plane, like that, but I want to add some subdivisions to this plane. So I'm just gonna do 50-50, just in case something small. I'm gonna do 10-10, okay. And so now I'm just gonna duplicate this, shift, clone, move that down. And for this fella here, I'm just gonna give it a deformation that is non-linear. And I'm going to give it a bit of a wave. And for this wave here, I'm just gonna hide this for a second. And for this wave here, I'm just gonna give it a bit of an amplitude and a few wavelengths, and too many. Something like that is fine, right? Just to showcase what I'm doing there. And you don't have to follow this because this is a bit complex, right? It's just a means to show what I mean by normal. So what the hell is a normal? Let's do 15. Oh, let's do whatever. Let's do 25. Okay, there you go. So we got some normals there. And so if I now bring back that other plane there, so what I've done is I click here and then I click here to it's the way that I think about it is like, okay, I want these details to go to here. And so I'm using just a transfer attributes. Like I said, I know this is pretty complex, so you don't have to follow me, but I'm just moving everything off, but this is on. And then I'm just saying sample to the world space, apply. Okay. And as you can see, this is now completely flat, but you've got the normals essentially changing with each of these vertices, right? So now that you've got a bit of an idea on what is a normal map in that sense, I'm gonna show you a little bit what I mean in a texture, and then I'm gonna finalize the video because I think this is enough theory for a class. But yeah, just want to show you this is a handheld that I've done for my portfolio. And I just want to show you that a lot of these details, like for example, this P here, this is a normal map. A lot of these little details in here as well, that's all a normal map too. All that noise from that plastic, that's a normal map as well. This screw here, this part here, that's a normal map too. But also these holes, this button there, these holes, that's a normal map as well. And if I go here with these buttons there, that's also a normal map where it says X, Y, B. And the way that I can execute a lot of these details with the normal maps, if I change from gray, and by the way, I'm using Marmoset Toolbar, which is another software that I like to teach. In the future, this is what the normals are doing, right? So essentially it's giving all of these details through the bake process, right? And yeah, I'm generating these with normals, which is really cool. Like all those holes, it's all fake. It's all fake normals, yeah. And yeah, I'd like to end with the class on what are normals. I hope that has been useful. And yeah, whenever you see geometry that's a little bit messy or a little bit broken or a little bit messed up, yeah, feel free to use that shortcut there to change to the normals. And I hope that has been a great lesson for you to understand. Now remember to subscribe. If you got any suggestions on how to make the videos a little bit better, send me a comment so I can get better. If there is a specific thing that you would like to learn, send me a message as well. Say, hey Paco, I actually don't know how to do X, Y, and Z. I'll keep a track and I will make a video for you, right? And I've got a lot of students that ask me, hey, can you do a video of this or that? And usually within a day or two, I'll make a video for them, right? So don't be shy. I'm also happy to make a portfolio reviews. Apparently there have been very, very popular in the last few days. A lot of people have been very excited to get their portfolio being reviewed. And I won't mind giving it a crack. Just be mindful that if I do make a portfolio review, that you need to at least be doing art for a year or two. Because, yeah, if you're only learning, of course, there's going to be so much wrong with it. Yeah, you need to learn a bit first. And then I can do some portfolio review for you. Other than that, yeah, I'll see you around. And thank you so much. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.